Ah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the No Nonsense live stream. It's Yaga. How we all doing? This is gonna be a shorter stream because I have some obligations to tend to today. But as you can tell in the title, it is "You Can't Live in Fear." So, oh god, allergies, and you can't. And why can't you live in fear? Because it will keep you from truly having a joyful life. And fear comes in all shapes, forms, and sizes. And there is healthy fear, which I'll talk about. Because not all fear is just paralyzing terror, But like I've always talked about, all of our decisions come either from fear or love. And I'm pretty convinced that it's one of those two things. So, what are like some basic fears, right? Some shit like from my own experience, like was terrified, still kind of am, of open water, like the ocean. I'm not a strong swimmer. And, when I was a kid and in Cub Scouts and I had to get like my swimming badge, you had to like, swim in the deep end of the pool. Yeah, I wasn't having any of that because I had a lot of anxiety. I was terrified. And if I look back on it, then why was I terrified? Well, I didn't grow up around water, up until that point, the deepest water I had been into was 1.5 foot, pool that my parents had. So I never experienced like, they didn't take me into water like when I was a baby and learned to swim. So when you're at the time, I think like 7, I had no idea how to deal with it. So going into the deep end, I think was because, it's the fear I couldn't touch the bottom of the pool. So I psyched myself up with fear and anxiety before I even did it. I don't think I ever got in the pool, but they gave me the badge because they felt bad, which is crap. I should have not gotten that badge looking back. That's a fear, right? Fear of the dark. Why is the dark scary? Well, it's the unknown. And a lot of the times our own personal fears, I think, come from, just things that we don't know. And apply this to literally anything. Say you're in a job and you're going for a better position, say management or something, right? And you already work the job, you know the place, you know everything. And then you're trying to get to that next level, you're scared. Because in that next level, although you think you could probably, do well at the job, there's a part of, at least me in my experience, that would be like, it's stuff I don't know. Like I have to learn new things, new systems, new ways about the job, whatever, right? Apply that to anything. So the fear I have is because I don't know how to do that particular job well yet. So it's the fear of going through that process that I've always had a struggle with, where, like a year ago, I had to go and be certified to do my bartending stuff, right? And even the going to that was scary because it's like I have to go to this stupid ass class, to give you all this training and, safety stuff. But the way I looked at it then was like, it is useful information, But at the same time, I just, I looked at it from a selfish point of view where I just didn't want to go because it was taking up my time. But I feared learning the new stuff because it's something I'm not comfortable with. A lot of fear for me has come from getting out of the comfort zone. Everybody likes to, that's so comfy and cozy right here, but you don't grow when you're always comfortable. You want to be comfortable because it's kind of contradictory if you think people are like, we want you to be happy and comfortable, but yet do different shit and try some shit, take a chance. It's an endless thing. I believe you have to have this conversation with yourself, and be honest with you that, what is it that you're trying to achieve? You do have to take risks, and the risks, sometimes as crazy as it is, the benefits are great, and it's scary when you got to take risks. And it all comes from fear, guys. I took a big risk, and it was fearful kind of when I was asked to, um, start a business with my friends, invest a shit ton of money. But what is money, And there's a good chance you're never going to see it again. All right. Well, I don't love money, so it wasn't that big of a fear thing for me. And the fear for me came from, had I said no to the opportunity that was presented to me, the fear of living in regret was what was getting me before I decided to say yes to, the business I'd started with my friends. We started. I was approached and I invested in. That's the honest truth. And the fear for me came from, if I pass this opportunity up, I may regret it till the day I die. And I have all the means to do it right now. So why not do it? So I did it. So it wasn't the fear of losing money, which I knew was probably going to happen. It wasn't the fear of failure. It wasn't the fear of success. It was the fear that not knowing if I could do it or not. And I did it. So when people ask me today, they're like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I already did it, man." Like, everything else for me is pretty subjective now. I don't give a shit. It's like, well, you don't want to just, you don't want to keep going and be successful. I'm like, no, because I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like, and that's good enough for me. And all the people look at you like you're crazy, like, "Oh my God, stupid. That's so dumb. You need to keep working until you're dead and go bald and have a heart attack, hypertension, maybe even have an aneurysm." No, see, it was the fear of not taking the opportunity. And I chose to. And it was great. It was a great choice for me all around. And in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it any other way. I faced that fear because had I said no, I probably would have been resentful at myself for not doing it and at least going through that fire and enjoying the journey, and I think, fear, a lot of it is that unknown thing. How's life going to look in a different relationship? How's life going to look if I move from a new town to a different one? How's life going to look when I change relationships? How's life going to look here? And you don't know. And that's an honest answer. You just don't know. But I've learned that I can't let fear keep me from doing nothing. And I have to make choices and decisions. And based on my choices and decisions, gets me where I need to be. And wherever I am, I accept that. It takes a lot of work, man. It takes a lot of work to not get frustrated. And I'm not perfect. Fuck that. I have fears of things. Like, I fear, never being 100% financially secure no matter what I do. But then the real conversation I have to ask myself is, am I taking the proper risks to get there? And again, I think it's an individual battle with oneself where you have to have this struggle, and figure it out for you. There are healthy fears, though. Like being nervous, is a healthy fear. It really is. Nervous that, say you like somebody, you're on that date, and the first time you're hanging out, you get nervous, you get that little feeling in your gut, you're like, oh man, this is exciting. I like this girl, or whatever you're into. And you're just like, that's kind of I want to do a little extra. It's like a good nervous, I've had that a few times in my life, like in relationships where I was like kind of nervous around the person. And that's fear, but it's like a healthy fear. If people ever say, like, I'm fearless, no, you're not. I'm not. But I don't live in fear. There's a difference. You can have acts that make you appear fearless, but you're not fearless. Everybody's got fear. I've never met anybody who's fearless in one form or another. But I've met plenty of people who don't live in fear. And That's something I live by. Is like I don't live in fear today. I don't live in fear of what people think. I don't live in fear of what job I'm doing. I don't live in fear of what the comment section looks like on YouTube. I don't live in fear of what so and so thinks of me. I just don't care. My fear for me has always, I think, been trying not to live in regret. And I don't regret any of my decisions. Like I own up to everything I've done in my life, all my rights, my wrongs, my goods, my bads, and my uglies. And I know my shit. And I take ownership for all this shit I've done, said over the years. And there's only one or two things I could think of that I would go, that was a bad decision. But even in that bad decision, man, you learn so much and you go through so much pain and suffering from those things. And it really does make you a better person, better, stronger. Or some people it makes them bitter and resentful. And I don't want to be bitter and resentful. I don't have time to be bitter and resentful. I just don't. So I keep doing that. I keep working on not being bitter and resentful at the world because you can't live in fear. You can't. It's the dark unknown, man. And that's what I think what I fear the most is just the unknown because I don't know. And I think one of the biggest things I see people struggling with is like they always have to know. They have to know how this relationship's going to turn out. Are we going somewhere? Is this job worth it? You know, you don't know. I have learned and accepted there are no guarantees in this world about anything, and everything is temporary. Everything. Everything's temporary, folks. Everything's a constant work. You know, everything. And it's okay. It comes down to accepting that and just going forward, pushing through it. Because the only way out is through, man. You can't be scared. You just got to go through it. Can't dodge it, can't bob and weave. I mean, you can. I try to walk the path of least resistance, but sometimes you have to take that resistful path because it will show you something about you that you don't know yet, or something that you need to work on, or something that you need to change or let go of. And you know, I'm a smart person. I play it safe today, but I also don't mind taking a risk and having the balls to take a risk. And it's balls, man. It's balls to get on the internet and just make a video, tell people what you think. Because a lot of the crazy people on the internet, they'll come and tell you that you suck. I'm like, no, maybe I don't. Fear of what others think, man, who cares about what somebody thinks on the other side of a keyboard? I don't. I was watching some talk yesterday about some lady. I fucking forget her name, but she's on Netflix. My girlfriend wanted to watch it, and she says a lot of good stuff about being vulnerable. There's some stuff I don't agree on, though I'll never agree with anybody 100% of the time. And if you do agree with somebody 100% of the time, you don't think for yourself. That's just my opinion. But she had a lot of good points, and there are a lot of stuff I agreed with about, you know, getting out there, being vulnerable, and not caring. Because you get out there, if you're vulnerable, and you are, and you let somebody tear you down with word or what they do, that's a fear thing, and it's scary, but it's also a weakness that you need to address in yourself. What are you scared of? You know, are you scared of not getting likes on the internet because so and so doesn't, you know, you said this or that? It's like, who cares? I don't ever want to live in a utopia type world where we're all the same, we're all uniformed. You know, I was scrolling through somebody's thing on Facebook and I saw a picture of their family all in the same shirts at Christmas. And I go, that's retarded. You guys don't all want to be the same in that family. Some people are like, oh, that's just fun. I go, no, it isn't. It's like subliminal messaging to be like the same. We're all the same here. I love my sisters. We're very similar, but we're not the same people. We have way different ideologies and how we approach life and different interests and how we view things and this and that and the other. And I'm a dude and my sisters are women. We just see shit differently. That's okay. I don't fear that. I don't fear what my sisters think. But there was a good point what this lady was saying about how you do care about what certain people think. You ever had like your family members tell you, like when you're dating somebody when you were younger, and they always were like, ugh, well, hey, we don't really care for this person, but if you're happy, that's like code for saying like this person is fucking terrible for you. Why are you doing this to yourself? And there's nothing anybody can do. People have to walk through that fire, and I've done it. I've been in some relationships where my family was like, that woman. And then there's other women they loved and adored. And, you know, and I've been in families where people love me and people didn't like me. It's like, whatever. And the opinion of your family matters. But I think what they will see in people, especially when it comes to relationships, if they could see you with a person and they could tell that your behavior is better or different than you by yourself, that this other person can bring something out of you or bring the sides out of you that nobody sees or are very rarely ever shown around the rest of the family, and based on your actions and behaviors, then the family loves that person. They go, that's the person for them. And then, there's other times family, I think if you look at it that way, then you can care what people think because they're really giving you a heads up. Like you may not see it coming, but what you're doing right now is going to destroy you. I can get on board with that, you know, because I used to date people where I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And it's just, it's very selfish and very just into me and my needs. But it's not about the approval of others. It's about so many much deeper levels than that, man. But you can't fear. You can't live in fear. It's such a crazy thing, fear, man. Because fear can cripple you. It can. You can get so fucking scared that you don't do anything. Make no decisions to get out of it. Uh, nothing to change your situation or anything like that. And you're just stuck. And you're just so fucking paralyzed. And I've been there. I've been at the point where I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what to do. And I had to ask for help. And I did. Thank God I did. Because it made me the man I am today. Still out of his fucking mind. But the fear I'm talking about is like people who, I think a lot of people fear outcomes, like they don't know how it's going to go. Like, is this relationship going to go? Like, you date somebody for a few months and you're like, what's the next step? Is this it? I don't know. I don't like the fact that they do this. And you go, to truly know, I think, if something is worth the long run, you really have to be tested in those relationships before you cut ties. You have to be thrown in the fire with the person. You have to see the person's darkest side and they have to see yours, and you have to come out on top. And if you could do that without tearing each other down and using that shit against them, you have something very special. And I get a lot of people when they start dating, the minute they don't like something, and I've seen it, I've been guilty of this too. I've cut relationships off early because I was like, hey, I don't want to deal with that. And in hindsight, it might be the best bet, but you never really know if you could have something long term if you're not willing to look past surface shit. Fuck the common interest stuff, the movies and the sports and that's dumb shit. I'm talking about deep, powerful struggles, and you do it together. One person's going through and you can support without tearing the other person down. That's powerful. That's worth fighting for, and I don't fear that, because you fear the vulnerability thing is what I'm trying to get to. Is this lady talked about? Yeah, you fear getting vulnerable because when you throw your true thoughts and feelings out to people, and maybe you don't know them well, And even if you do know them well, they could turn that shit against you. I've had fucking people who I thought were super close friends. You tell them some shit that's supposed to be private, and then the next thing you know, everybody's fucking talking about you. It's embarrassing. It's hurtful. It makes you kind of recoil in fear because Jesus, I don't, you know. But luckily, I've got people that I can turn to today where I can get out that. And plus, I get out a lot of my shit on the internet. I fucking sit on here all the time telling people how I feel, don't feel. I don't give a shit. I have really strong opinions about things, and I want everybody to hear them. But I have valid points. But it doesn't even matter what I think. I get on here and speak from experience, and this is where I'm at. So you can't live in fear. If you every decision you go, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Sometimes you just got to do it, man, and see how it goes. It may crash and burn. It may be the scariest decision ever, but it may be the best fucking thing you've ever done. You know, I know from experience that when I wanted something or wasn't sure how it was going to go, if I just let go of how I think things should be and just let it play out, it has worked out tremendously better than when I try to finagle my little puppet strings into everything. So you can't live in fear. You know, can't live in fear of getting a better job. Can't live in fear of getting a better relationship. Can't live in fear of anything. You'll have fear, don't get me wrong. It's not saying you can't ever have fear. That's not what I'm fucking saying. And if that's what you think I'm saying, you're not listening at all. You can't base your life all on fear in your decisions. Sometimes you got to go learn, adapt, take the chances, the risks, the rewards. The failures are just as valuable as successes, my friend. You can't always strive for success. Failure, to be honest, for me, I've learned way more in any failure than I've ever learned from my successes. And that's just the truth. And I don't live in fear of making those mistakes again. I just choose not to, you know? You don't have to. You only have to do serious dumb shit in your life however many times you deem necessary. Some things I just don't do anymore. And it's all good. So, oh, God. Oh, did you hear that? That fucking felt weird. You can't live in fear, folks. And I know it's a struggle. Well, how do you do that, man? How do you not live in fear? Let go, you know, just let go of your expectations, what you think, how it's going to happen, because everything I thought the way it was going to happen in my life has not worked out because I thought of it, you know, but when I let things be and I stop thinking so fucking much, I just let it happen. You need to know when to apply thinking and when to just let things be, you know, like I said before, less is more, folks. It really is. And the fear will kind of just be lifted away. But if you're going, I don't know if this is going to work, I don't know. You're just psyching yourself out in your mind, man. Listen to your instincts. You know, get the mind right. The mind is just it's so powerful. Speaking of which, maybe that's next week's topic. The mind. Get your mind right. Because you're wrong about everything. And how you see things and the crazy concoctions that you can make inside here is not actually what reality is. The reality of the situation is you're probably fucking wrong. And that's you thinking things. The mind, man. But the mind makes you think you're fearful, keeps you fearful. You can't live in fear, folks. Don't. It's not healthy. And Sometimes fear is a motivator too, right? Sometimes fear motivates you to make a change that's necessary. Makes you get off your ass and start working towards some goal. Because fear could be from loss too, you know? You don't want to lose something. So you got to work a little harder. So you want to keep that woman in your life? You got to work a little harder. But I've noticed everything's a two-way street when it comes to relationships, man. Give and take a little. Can't all be you doing everything. It has to be reciprocated at one point. Because if it's not, then you're just a patsy and you just no balls to say no to somebody. So have some balls. That goes for the women too, you know. Should it be 50-50? I guess. I really believe men and women or whatever, your relationship, it should be a yin and a yang, man. You can't have yang yang or yin yin. Doesn't work that way. That's why it's called a yin and a yang. The yin is the female, the yang is the male. They balance each other out. I've tried every form of my life to do different things, and I've realized the key really is a balance of everything. Work, play, love, all kinds of shit. Joy, happiness, hobbies. It all balances out. And it starts with you can't live in fear. You can't live in fear of the future because you don't know what the fuck is going to happen. You can't fear your mistakes of the past. You can't even fear right now because today is today, and that's your greatest gift you're going to have is right now. So you can't fear that shit, man. I don't know what the future looks like. I have no idea, but I could tell you right now, it's going to be magnificent if I keep doing what I'm doing. So it gives me hope because I don't live in fear. I hope you don't either. All right. Everybody have a great afternoon. I said I got to keep this short because I have some obligations to do. And we'll see you next week, noon. What did I say I was going to talk about? The mind. Let's write that down. No nonsense live stream number 35. The mind. Okay. Thank you all. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the week. And don't take yourself too seriously.